So Taylor Swift has to defend her songwriting. Oh yeah, it's getting real out there. What's going on, guys? Jeronmusic here. I'm an unknown independent artist here based in the New York City area, and I thought it'd be really cool for me to do a reaction video to the latest drama. Today is, as I record this, Monday, January 31st, 2022, and apparently a few days ago on January 29th, there was a little drama between Taylor Swift and Damon Albarn from the mid-90s band Blur, an English rock band, and it's causing quite the fuss. While you're here, I encourage you to subscribe to my channel. I am a small content creator and independent musician, and I usually do a lot more produced videos, covers, originals, music history, music education. Go check that out. I encourage you to. And I plan to do more reaction videos like this because I think it'll be cool. So let's dig right in. There's plenty of videos on YouTube discussing this, but again, I wanted to come from a perspective of a millennial musician, an independent artist, discussing obviously a worldwide star that is Taylor Swift, and Damon Albarn in his own right is obviously a notable musician on the scene. As a teenager of the 90s, I grew up listening to Blur. I'm not familiar with the entire catalog, but definitely that famous song called Song 2, actually. And again, I'm reading some articles and I'm citing, because again, this is a reaction video, but Damon Albarn was interviewed in an article. He was asked about different music artists like Billie Eilish, and I believe regarding her, he said, "I think she's exceptional." And then when he was asked about Taylor Swift, he, and I quote, said, "She doesn't write her own songs." And again, I don't know the full facts. I only know what I can cite, what's there, so I don't claim to know the whole story. I try to be as objective as possible, but apparently that's what he said. So obviously it made its way into the Twitter channels, the social media channels, and Taylor responded. She responded, and this is, quote, on January 24th, 2022, quote, "I was such a big fan of yours until I saw this. I write all of my own songs. Your hot take is completely false and so damaging. You don't have to like my songs, but it's really effed up to try and discredit my writing. Wow," end quote. So, of course, that created more waves. There was definitely retweeting and sure lots of commentary. And it seems like she was replying to the LA Times, who had posted what Damon Albarn had said. And then Taylor followed up with a tweet saying, quote, "P.S. I wrote this tweet all by myself in case you were wondering," and she put the this emoji, you know the one, just squinty eyes closed, end quote. That was 3:40 p.m. January 24th, 2022. And then eventually Damon Albarn, in a further tweet, claimed his words had been, quote, "reduced to clickbait," end quote. He continued, quote, "I apologize unreservedly and unconditionally. The last thing I would want to do is discredit your songwriting. I hope you understand," end quote. Okay, so I know there's a lot to unpack there. Obviously, this is now fact. Those quotes that Damon Albarn said, he said it. That can be obviously very invalidating for Taylor. And let me just mention, again, going back to what I said in the beginning of the video, I'm a huge Taylor Swift fan. She was a big part of my 20s, 30s. I mean, she's still very relevant and current today. She's one of the biggest pop stars in the world. What she's done for the music industry, and me being an unknown independent artist, and she's definitely corrected some wrongs of the music industry. I won't go into that in this video, but she's paved the way for a lot of things. Whether you love her or hate her, if you're a hardcore Swiftie watching this, or you could be someone that doesn't really like her music, or there's people that like her music but don't like her personality and her messaging, her marketing. I think she's supremely intelligent. She's a great marketer. I'm not kissing ass either. It's is she like one of my biggest musical influences? No, but I think she's an amazing pop songwriter. Like I said, marketer. She's a great artist. She's clever. She's innovative. She seems to be like a kind person, and again, yes, people going into the drama and the details and the personal stuff, You know, I try not to get too involved in that because I do believe it's about the music primarily. However, his comments about song and attitude, what Damon said, I do think there is some. I guess where he was going with that is kind of the big debate that it's always going to be, especially nowadays with platforms like TikTok, where, you know, it has become a little bit less about the music and it's about the presence and the looks. But, you know, you can make the argument too that it's always been that way. You know, even the Beatles, who were one of my biggest musical influences, one of the most prolific and talented musical groups and groundbreaking, you know, they were obviously objectified for their looks, or people wanted to know what they were doing, especially in that drug culture of the 60s, that counterculture. So it comes with the territory, personality, what you do. It is part of it, but it shouldn't be the main focus. Anyway, moving on. And again, these are just initial reactions late at night. Dolly Parton, the great Dolly Parton, who obviously an amazing songwriter, musical artist, and paved the way for females. There probably wouldn't be, in a way, a lot of the modern, you know, powerful, strong females that we have in music if it wasn't for Dolly Parton. And she said something. She said, quote, "I don't care what other people say about my songs, period, but with Taylor, she's a great writer, with or without anybody," end quote. So she was obviously referring to actually something I missed, and I'm trying to find it here. Damon Albarn had gone on to say something about co-writing. The interviewer had asserted that Taylor writes or either co-writes her songs. It seems that Damon Albarn responded to that with the following, quote, "That doesn't count. I know what co-writing is. Co-writing is very different to writing," end quote, he said. Quote, "I'm not hating on anybody. I'm just saying there's a big difference between a songwriter and a songwriter who co-writes," end quote. Okay. So, and I think that's where Dolly Parton's comment was coming about. Quote, "But with Taylor, she's a great writer, with or without anybody," end quote. Historically, for me personally, my reaction, I love to just write on my own, but I'm not averse to writing with other people. I do agree it is challenging. I don't think it diminishes it. I think Dolly's further quote here will help make my point. Quote, "It's not true. When you co-write a song, you work just as hard. Sometimes you work harder with a co-writer because you want to be sure to do your part. There's a lot to be said about co-writing," end quote. You know, and I do agree from what I hear about my peers. I'm in different songwriter forums. You know, co-writing, you know, when you do split sheets, that's something, if you're a non-musician, you say you wrote this percentage of the song, you get this percentage for the royalties. You know, you agree to certain stakes in the co-writing process. You know, I would argue that co-writing is just as difficult. Even the times I've done it with people, it is very challenging. You know, your contributions, you want to make sure you're coming up with just as much of a clever line or chord or arrangement as the other person, and you feed off of it. And I do enjoy that process. It's just I'm more selective of who I write with, and I think all songwriters should be. Damon trying to, in a way, discredit, you know, I would have to disagree with him there. You know, whether Taylor wrote all the songs by herself or she had, you know, she co-wrote with people, and she does have a team. It's still a contribution. It's still her catalog. I mean, she writes and speaks in her voice, and it's so uniquely hers. Tell me what you think. I definitely want to hear, again, constructive comments, positive energy. Preferably if these are music fans watching this video. I think it's important to have a dialogue about this in a constructive, positive way. And no hate. I think Damon will learn from this. He apologized. And people have learned not to mess with Taylor. I'm Jeronmusic. Thank you so much for listening to my reaction here and my little rant. Again, I encourage you to subscribe for the rest of my music content. All things music here. And I'll see you soon. Take care.